Ladies and gentlemen, this is internet personality Vangelus here with another day of Rider Figuarts week as we enter the realm of Godspeed love. This is Kamen Rider Hercus, and he's one of the 3 movie-exclusive riders from back in '06 with Kamen Rider Kabuto's feature film, Godspeed Love, and he is more or less indicative of what you're going to see from all 3 of those riders, that being Kabuto's body, the clock-up padless belt, a little wrist thing, a big shoulder pad, and a funny-looking head. That more or less will summarize these 3 riders. But Hercus is interesting in that he is the one of those 3 that is a good guy. At least he thinks he's a good guy. He's a member of NeoZECT, and I guess the silver color scheme really exemplifies that, as the NeoZECT troopers were similarly garbed. He does have all of Kabuto's detail, right down to the lovely compound eyes, so that's a really pleasant and comforting thing, especially in these Kabuto Figuarts. You actually come to expect this level of detail, which I suppose is a little bit naive, but I went from being so amazed by it to kind of going like, well, it's a Figuart, I can't wait to see them compound eyes. One thing to note is that this giant shoulder pad is identical on all 3 of the Godspeed Love riders. The only thing that sets them apart aside from their accessories would be the face mask that clamps over the masked form's visor, and the Zector on their wrist. And I do kind of like these releases because these were kind of like the proto-Zabi in a way. They had Zabi's belt, they had the wrist connector for Zabi's Zector. So these guys were also interesting in that they were riders that a lot of us had figured would never get toy treatment in this level. And this was another case of Figuarts going like, hey, guess what, we're gonna do things you don't expect, baby! Of course, we thought most of those would be positive things. Tamashi Web. Anyway, he comes with just one weapon, a kunai gun that's been redone in pure black and silver, and I'd say that if I had one knock against this guy, despite the beautiful sheen of the silver as I spin him round and round, it's actually a bit of a boring color scheme. Very much a prototype look. Maybe a little bit reminiscent of Kamen Rider Guy, I suppose, but that would be one of the reasons why this is a bit of a boring toy. Even though it's completely screen accurate, it's a little bit of a boring toy. Definitely only for those who really love the design or the show, or the movie, for that matter. And as I said, this is the only weapon he comes with. He doesn't come with the kunai at all. And as for additional hands, you only get a couple pairs. Fists! Holding hands! And splayed hands. Poseability is identical to all of the other major Kabuto bodies, major being every, and this guy and the other 2 Godspeed Love riders are also those unfortunate bunch who suffer from the Kabuto bow-leggedness. My Hercus doesn't have it that badly, and I have tried some of the hot water treatment on the knee joint, although it didn't seem to take too well. I think I needed to use hotter water. But aside from that, they have all the poseability of any given Kabuto body, and are generally solid Figuarts, especially since these 3 Godspeed Love dudes, oddly enough, tend to be some of the cheaper Figuarts you can find on the secondary market nowadays. They did come out a couple of years ago now, I think, and it can be a little bit difficult to find them, but I know for sure that they keep getting reissued, so every time they start to dwindle, just wait a month, and they'll probably be back in full force, as it were. Hercus, as I said, is probably the more boring of the 3 movie riders. All he really has going for him is that he was the sole member of NeoZECT. Really, he's the guy that you bought because you were buying all 3 movie riders. He does have an interesting Zector. I kind of like the horn design, and he does have, as far as the 3 horn designs go for the face, although it's the most boring, it's also the least distracting. So, I suppose if you like what you see here, you'll probably enjoy this guy. That said, though, I'm way more jazzed about the other 2 Godspeed Love riders. So, I'd have to say this guy is only mildly recommended, and if you're only going to be buying a few Figuarts, there are a lot more interesting ones to go for. Anyway, this has been Internet Personality Vangelus, and I think it's time we meet the shadowy antagonists of Godspeed Love.